So welcome on to our class on setting up sitting. And as some of you know, the top of the food chain from a yoga perspective is being able to sit comfortably for meditation. Part of the reason that asana was invented was to free up and still and calm the body enough to be able to sit for long periods so that we could learn more about ourselves in that kind of stillness. And I know from teaching for many, many, many years, particularly at retreats where I get people that have never encountered yoga and meditation before, I know from that kind of teaching that sitting for some people is like slow torture. But there are a couple of tricks that we can use, and the tricks take practice. So one of the most simplest tricks is to sit on a chair. So if you want to start sitting and it's really impossible for you to get down on the ground, then sitting on a chair is perfectly acceptable. If you are going to be a regular yoga goer and you're getting up and down off the ground all the time, then one of your first kind of checks is to figure out how tight your hip flexors are and how tight your back is. So I'll show you from the side. If as I sit, for example, with my legs straight, if my back rounds out like this, for example, then it's probable that my hip flexors in the front here are tight. And if you sit a lot for work, it's like putting your arm in a plaster cast. Your hip flexors will be tight, full stop. That's fine as long as you know what to do about it. So if when you sit, you bring your hand onto your back and you feel, actually my back is rounding out, or if I sit here and my back is rounding out, even when I try and straighten, then it is a sign that the hip flexors need some work. There's a couple of possibilities, all of which will help. One of them is to use something like this, which is a meditation stool. They can be got at Yoga Matters, lots of other stores. And they are very simple because they give your pelvis enough elevation to be comfortable. And this one has a nice padded cushion on top, so your butt doesn't go numb after a while, which tends to happen on the wood. That's one possibility. If your knees can manage it, another possibility, if you don't like sitting with the knees wide, is to sit with the legs straight. And to add a little bit of height there, these are my favorite things. This is a Pilates ball or a soft ball. This is a Sissel 26 centimeter, about 10 quid on Amazon. And these I like for sitting because they talk to your pelvic floor. So as I breathe, my diaphragms are in conversation with one another. And because this ball is soft and squidgy, you can see it has a little bit of give in it, it's amazing for talking to the pelvic floor. Again, if you have pelvic floor issues, I do recommend using these. You can use that to sit on straight. I could also use something like a bolster to sit on straight. It's the same thing, a little bit more solid. The important thing is that you get an easy alignment now from heads of the femurs down into the knees, etc., etc. Yeah. If your feet don't like this position, the other thing you can do is roll up a towel and put it underneath your ankles. So right at the little junction here at the front is somewhere that can get really uncomfortable for people. So rolling up a towel helps, as does sitting on something soft. And if you're determined to be able to sit cross-legged, then what tends to happen with most people that I see is that they go to sit and their knees are somewhere up around their ears. And then they try and sit in meditation, and it's really, really challenging to stay comfortable here. Yeah? So even if we relax the shoulders, it's challenging to relax the knees. And one of the tricks really with setting up sitting is to try and get your knees lower than your pelvis. So here, gravity is never going to be able to help my knees. Yeah? Just not possible in this position. But if I elevate my pelvis, so all I'm going to do here is take a cushion and double it. And you might need 2 or 3, it might be the princess in the pea. But how high do you need to be with your pelvis so that your knees can come to the floor? So here you can see, because the position of the pelvis is more elevated than the knees, I have a chance of getting the hips open, a little bit more open. Probably for you, This journey of knees straight to the floor, even with an elevated cushion, is not going to be a journey that takes a single day. So then we get even more clever with our propping, and we go, what would happen if I propped the spaces? So if I gave my legs something to release into, how would that feel? And that's another one of the reasons I love these squidgy balls. They're just fantastic for support. You can blow them up, blow them down, make them small, make them big. So now I have a little bit more of a clear setup. And it's possible now for me to be able to ground into the pelvis and into the legs, which is the base of the seated poses. So if you found a position today that feels comfortable for you, I would invite you to close your eyes over and to let your weight settle down into your support. And if you can sense and feel and imagine where your sit bones are, they are the feet of your pelvis in sitting. Let yourself rock back a little. Let yourself rock forward a little. If you can't feel your sit bones, you can always physically sit on them. So you're kind of smushing your fingers with your sit bones. And notice when you go forward and off the sit bones, onto the sit bones, back and off the sit bones, onto the sit bones. And your sit bones will feel bony, yeah? They're bony for a reason. They're bony like your elbow feels. So as you come forward, it may arch your back. And as you come back, it may, towards flexion of the spine, it may cause the spine to round, which is flexion. And as you go back and forth, see what it's like now to find the perfect place of balance, right and left sit bone. And it may be that your front back balance feels right, but your left right balance might feel a little off. So notice if one sit bone feels more embedded, more chummy with the floor than the other. And if it does, try and drop down on that opposite sit bone. And we all have rotations, asymmetries in the pelvis, so it's really normal not to feel quite similar. But can you set it up with as much skill as possible? And then place the hands wherever they're comfortable, palms up or palms down. And from your two sit bones, bring your awareness now to your tailbone, which will float in the middle of your two sit bones. It's a non-weight bearing bone. And trace in your mind's eye, tailbone to sacrum. It's the bone just above the tailbone. Trace through your sacrum to your low back. Trace from your low back through your upper back. Trace from your upper back to the neck. And as you get to the head, give a little tiny Bollywood wobble. And see where the head can sit squarely. So the AA and the AO joints, where can the head sit squarely on the neck? And then trace that journey one more time in your mind's eye, except this time, see what it's like to trace through all those undulating curves in your spine in the front bodies of your vertebrae, so the front of your spine. Same journey, tailbone to sacrum. Inner curve of your low back in the front bodies of your vertebrae now. Segueing to the outer curve of the upper back. Inner curve of the neck. Outer curve of the back of the skull. Follow that now down the front of your face. Down your throat, down your sternum, down to your belly button, and all the way down to your pubic bone. And for a couple of rounds, trace up your back and down your front. You can trace back of the body, or you can trace front of the spine and down your front. Whatever is your choice today. One more loop up the back and down the front. And then as you establish this central column of support, noticing anything that doesn't need to work. So noticing, maybe could you release the shoulders a little bit more so the weight of the shoulders settles into the elbows, and the weight of the elbows settles into the hands. The weight of the hands settle into their support. And let the object of your awareness be the touch of the breath below the nostrils, above the upper lip. A very small point. Noticing maybe how the breath is slightly cooler as it travels in, and slightly warmer as it travels out. Counting 10 breaths now. 1 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale. Keep going until you get to 10 and then start again. And anytime your thoughts tug at you or tear you away from your breath, simply, kindly bringing your awareness back to your breath. Touch of the breath below the nostrils, above the upper lip. So there's no great fuss to getting distracted. We just notice, thinking, emoting, shifting the awareness just very clearly, decisively back to the breath. Any stage you find yourself pulling yourself away from the floor, can you release into your support, letting go of anything that doesn't need to be working? And then the next time you breathe out, lowering the chin to the chest. Let the head get heavy, let the brain get heavy. Blinking the eyes open so the room comes to you. Keep your gaze, your peripheral vision soft. And then as you inhale, lifting the head to center. And just notice how you feel. That was a short meditation. It takes some time to learn to sit comfortably, so be really, really kind with yourself until it becomes easy and second nature. And if you're comfortable now, bring the hands together, raising them to the head with a wish for right thought, to the mouth with a wish for right speech, to the heart with a wish for right action. Namaste.